Hello, this is Paweł Kozioł, and this is another material I'm preparing for the project Go for Everyone. This time I'm going to speak about the stones which are either completely dead or almost dead and how to use them, because I'm going to try to convince you that such stones constitute your asset, that you can play around them, organize the game around them, and sometimes they enable sequences which otherwise would be completely impossible. I said about the different degree of deadness. This stone is killed, it cannot escape. Sometimes you can use such stone to play a center move like here, but in this position, where black already has this strong wall and he has this high stone, any such sequence would be asking for trouble. I don't imagine this group can live. So what about the more direct approach? You can play Atari, you can slide in the corner, and you even get to do all of this in center. But this is also a wrong move. And this is wrong because it loses all the possibilities associated with this stone. And beside that, it's much too early for such moves. If white plays something safe, then it's really impossible for black to play here, because white gains much more, even with such simple moves, than black gains in the corner. What about these stones? Technically, there might be some sequence that allows them to escape. If white cuts, then black connects. But it leaves black with another weak group. And white has some good moves, like here separating these stones from these stones, where if black really wants to leave, he must play here, and he is basically pushing from behind, giving white territory on the sixth line. This cannot be good. And if you have analyzed that sequence, you don't even need to check more severe moves like this one. Where black group is still under attack, the white wall is much stronger, and it looks like a sequence which is specifically designed to create a strong attack on this group. In short, saving these stones makes no sense for black. What about the last of the weak stones I mentioned? If black tries to make it alive, he will suffer one way or the other. I mean, he can even get some outside presence here, but first of all, it's not enough as long as white can continue here. And the second problem with such sequences is that white gets his way to reduce this area. So now, when we have discussed dead or not so dead stones, it's time to see how they influenced the course of the game. White plays here, and now it would be a perfectly valid decision for black to defend. However, there is a good way of defending and the bad one. Let's start with the bad one. After this move, white plays a Hane, and black is more or less obliged to respond, after which you see the stone number 2 creates some pressure against this group. So white will look for some way of attacking it, perhaps from this direction. So what is the correct defense? The good idea is to draw back a little. True, you lose a couple of points but it's not so important. And if white plays here, then most of the time you can safely ignore such a move, making this group stronger instead. However, black decided not to defend and played here. At first sight it looks like a modest move, but it does three things at once. First, it puts pressure on this white group. Second, it makes the black group a bit stronger. And the third, it allows black to reduce this area. Quite a lot for a single move actually. White continues here, and you need to know that this move is center. Black has to reply locally, because what happens if he doesn't? Let's suppose some kind of sane developing move like here. Then white can put this supposedly dead stone in motion. And the best thing black can do is to sacrifice his stone and then play some defensive move. And you see it's not a good result. Black has lost quite a bit of his corner, his group became flat, so nothing to be happy about. But suppose that black tries to resist. He can start like this. But now he is one liberty short, and after a Hane this group would die. So black has to crawl, and white will just follow along as many times as it's needed, after which he gets a huge corner and a huge reduction. So nothing here is good for black if he does not defend. Now, how to defend? It's entirely another story. You could play here or here, because you see this path is on the escape way of this black group, and it helps it, so the sequence doesn't work anymore. However, black played something else, a defensive move here. At first sight it looks incredibly modest, but it takes the entire corner, which is a lot of points. We can actually count them: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 points, and it still allows for some continuation. And now is the moment which probably would induce my mistake in the game. After seeing the success of this move, I would be really tempted to play something here to continue. But this is not a good idea. This area has been already reduced, and this is the time to switch somewhere else. Therefore, white plays also a very simple defensive move, replaying a bit later to this threat and making his group strong. Black in turn cares for safety of this group, and the game continues. And you see that this continuation, apart from threatening to build an area here, you must see it's not a real area but just a threat because of this weakness. However, this stone threatens to make use of one of our dead stones we mentioned. If you rewind to the sequences which I have shown as possible escapes, then you see that white always had this group with not too many liberties, and this stone is in the location to take these liberties away. So white replies. Black plays another center move, and now completes safeguarding of his box. So how does it compare to the initial position? First, this group is safe. This stone is even more dead than before. But in order to kill it off, to kill off the agi associated with it, white had to expand a move, while black played actually something useful. What happens here? This stone is no more, but because of it, white managed to play a couple of moves in center. The third thing is that black got this one in, forcing white to defend. And there is still some unresolved pressure because this group is not fully connected to black's position, but it can reduce opponent's area here, it can connect in one move, and if it connects, then black gets some nice influence. So naturally, white starts attacking. Black defends, you cannot play here because of a simple ladder, and white's stones are dead. So white makes a move here, just cutting off this group. Black creates some eye space, white continues, erasing this influence that black may have formed. Black cuts, as it's always his privilege, but the later sequence means that this group is still not totally safe, so it starts escaping. White decides to put some pressure from this side, after which black is building a good shape for escape, and now you see these stones put in use, because if white does nothing serious, they can help this group to become stronger. Of course, white cannot allow something like this, so he defends here. Black puts some pressure, white peeps into the tiger mouth, and the game continues from this point on. You see, all three weak stones or dead stones have been used in one way or the other. Finally, I want to show you some bonus material, not related to the stones which I have shown you at the beginning, but to much later stage of the game, to a fight which I do not feel fully qualified to explain. I think Stanisław Frejlak will make a good job out of it. But here it begins. White plays this move, threatening to link to this stone and simultaneously making black's escape a bit harder. Black connects because he wants this area. Then white starts an attack. And in the middle of a fight, black decides to strengthen this part of board again. At first sight, it looks crazy, but black has an idea in mind, and the idea is that playing here, we threaten to connect. And we threaten to do it on a large scale, cutting off all these stones. White, of course, cannot allow it to happen, so he plays here. The move looks a bit thin, but at the same time you see the ambition of securing as much of the middle sector of the board as possible. Now, black plays here, placing a stone in a situation where it will be most certainly dead. White connects, and now it transpires that all these efforts were just to play this move before clarifying the situation of the corner. Black tries to play in center, always threatening to make this group go outside. And now, if white ignores, we have the same scenario. White cannot prevent this connection, because if he tries, he gets caught in a shortage of liberties. This group has only two of them. Connecting doesn't help. Taking here doesn't help as well. So these stones would be lost. White has to reply locally, yet again, which means that black managed to play these two really important moves before actually starting to fight for the fate of his group. I hope you have enjoyed the information about dead stones that suddenly spring to life, or that suddenly make some outside sequences possible. I also hope you will use these techniques in your games. Thank you for watching.